Hello and welcome back to Gooner Gathering. For whatever reason, Lee's mic still has to be muted. I don't know why. My name is Posh Bertie, dashing Posh Bertie, I should say, the poshest man in all of sports entertainment, with my Movember moustache here. And joining me is Gooner Gathering's founding father. It's Mr. Gooner Lee Meads. Lee Meadows, how are you today?
Fabulous, Posh Bertie. Thank you very much for asking. Yes, I am okay. Definitely didn't have any technical issues there at all. We definitely didn't hear the countdown music playing about 3 times. And it's a new week. Happy days. This is going to be a bit of an interesting one, I think. We're going to have a bit of a lively old discussion about what went on Saturday. Quite possibly going through a few bits of spiciness that went on during the match, and perhaps the big talking point, of course, is whether the goal should have counted or not. But we'll get into that in just a second. Let's just have a quick look who is jumping in the comments. I got a feeling I might know who it might be. Yeah, thought I did. It's our Stacey. Hello, mate. It's good to see you. To see you, nice. Right, so best place to start. Shall we go with starting lineups, and then we'll play from there, shall we?
Yeah, absolutely. Good to see everyone in the chat. Stacey and Mile High Hotspur as well.
Hello,
Of course,
Mile High Hotspur.
go back to the top of the league and could remain unbeaten if they beat Chelsea tonight. Pochettino returning to his former club.
Really
We'll go with the team lineup. So David Raya is in goal, as I expected. White, Saliba, Gabriel, and Tomiyasu at the back. Obviously, there's been talk about a potential injury for Odegaard, so you can see why we've had to tinker with the midfield. Rice, Jorginho, who was still the captain for some reason because he showed great leadership against West Ham when we lost. And of course, Kai Havertz in Odegaard's position this time. Saka, Martinelli, and Edward Nketiah up front. Ramsdale, Hine, 2 goalkeepers on the bench. Cedric, Kivior, Zinchenko, Elneny, Vieira, Nelson, and Trossard. Yes, 2 goalkeepers on the bench. Isn't our fantastic squad depth that all fans talked about all pre-season, isn't that looking good?
Okay, so my take on that one would have been that I kind of felt that it was an unusual situation, and I felt that Odegaard must have picked up a late injury. That was what I felt. Hence the reason why we didn't have another outfield player around. Hence, they obviously bring the 3 goalkeepers just in case one picks up an injury and just to make up the numbers. That's what I felt with that. But yeah, you mentioned Jorginho was captain. Yeah, probably not everyone's choice as a captain. A lot of people would say Gabriel would have been. Hello, AFC. Always, I'll speak to you in a second. Yeah, Gabriel might have been a better pick. Declan Rice might have been a better pick. Yeah, I get that point of view. Jorginho, experienced player. Let's be fair, he's probably one of the most experienced in the team. But yeah, I'm just gonna check it again. We actually had the left back that we probably wanted in Tomiyasu, who's probably played more solid there than anybody else. Zinchenko, yes, I'm talking about him again. Whether he's a lot of argument being with Zinchenko coming into a starting lineup at the moment, being with the party situation, being him being injured. What do you think to that?
Zinchenko in midfield, yeah, that would be quite a decent decision because that's his main position. We've got a bit of a midfield crisis, I think, at the moment with Partey and now Odegaard being out, and we can't rely on Jorginho anymore, really, as much as we could have done last season. So I think try Zinchenko in midfield. I think that's probably a better option because it means we can hopefully not leave any gaps on the left side.
Yeah. I am worried about my technical side of things because I don't know if it's me or you keep on cutting out on me a little bit, but I'll persevere if I need to. I can adjust to my phone if I need to. But let's get into probably the flashpoint of the first half. Of course, honestly, there wasn't a whole heap to report on, was there? In terms of chances, Arsenal having all the possession, but not really having any shots of any note at all, really. You might have noticed Havertz in this game, though.
Oh, we noticed him, all right. That lucky little boy. He was lucky to even be on the pitch. And Bruno Guimaraes as well for Newcastle.
Get into him in a bit.
But yeah, both of them were lucky to be on the pitch after the first half.
So okay, fair enough. So obviously we're talking about Havertz's lunge at Longstaff, aren't we?
Yes.
It was late and it was on touchline, and things were starting to get a little bit aggressive, a little bit niggly here and there. And it was that moment where everything sort of flashed up. It almost felt like a red mist moment for me. However, I did think it was right in... Do you remember when we sort of talk about that orange card category that sometimes gets brought up? Slightly more than a yellow, but not quite a red. That was kind of my feeling on that one. It did go to VAR. It was... Yeah, okay, well, people are going to argue he should have been sent off. He could have been sent off for another one as well, I think, a second challenge, possibly a second yellow. But it was one moment of madness which really started. The referee started showing yellow cards everywhere for dissent because it all kicked off during that moment, didn't it? Possibly the most exciting thing that actually happened in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, look, Havertz, not just him, but Bruno for Newcastle, as I mentioned. They were both really lucky to even be on the pitch at the first half. Of course, we weren't doing the watch along. I was watching it with my dad, and we both thought, when Havertz made that slider, we both thought, yeah, he's seeing red. He's getting sent off. But no, he was very lucky. He got a yellow card, and it was then I thought he probably should have been taken off at half time because you don't want to see him get another yellow. You just think maybe his head might have gone a bit now. And for anyone who says that he was our best player on the pitch and that he's a genius for getting 3 Newcastle players booked, get your eyes tested. I'm sorry, he was dreadful again and he should have been sent off.
I don't think he was dreadful.
Well, he certainly wasn't the best player on the pitch.
I get your point. I get what you're saying about because it was a very tight game. Let's be fair. Let's give Newcastle a bit of credit as we're going in, making it very difficult of us getting any sort of chances at all. I'm just having a little nose at that bench because, and you made the point very early in the stream, actually. You know, you're saying about you might have replaced him at half time at Havertz. Who would you have replaced him for then?
Well, we've not got many options, haven't we? But I would probably have to go for Fabio Vieira.
You would have gone Vieira.
Or put Zinchenko in the cam position.
Yeah. Okay.
I know we've not got much options, but I didn't want Havertz to get another yellow.
Yeah, because we couldn't afford a red in that sort of game.
Especially if he makes tackles like that. It's you know.
Yeah. He was dicing a little bit with it. Absolutely agree with you. All right, then. Well, what about...
We'll get to that in a minute, AFC always.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But what I don't want to do is blame VAR for us losing the game. And I think that's probably a valid point because
Yeah.
there's probably points in the goal, which we will get to in a minute, where things could have been avoided. And also, I want to make sure we're giving somewhat like Joe Willock a little bit of credit, but we'll get into it in a bit. What about the Bruno Guimaraes one? So, have I said that right? I'm not sure. Bruno, with the foul in the middle of the park, the Lex Luger forearm on Jorginho.
Yes, and again, someone who, much like Havertz, lucky to be on the pitch by the end of the game. So I'm not just slating Kai Havertz, by the way, for once. I'm saying, yeah, but look at the Newcastle player as well. And I said that on Twitter. They're both lucky to avoid red there. And now here's the funny thing was, when I was watching it with my dad, we thought he got a yellow card in the first half, Bruno. So when I think he made a tackle late in the second half, we thought, oh, he's already been booked. He's off. He's going to be sent off. And the referee got the yellow card out, and we thought, oh, wait, he wasn't booked. He wasn't even booked for the Lex Luger elbow on Jorginho, which I think is ridiculous, because I think that at least should have been a yellow card.
Despite VAR having a long look at it, they felt, oh, it's fine. You can just do that. It's absolutely fine.
So I do agree with you. I think VAR should have looked at that potentially, but if that's the case, then they should have looked at Havertz's crunching slide tackle as well.
Oh, I think they did.
If you think they should have looked at the Bruno elbow, then Havertz's slide tackle, I think, should also be into question.
Yeah, they both were checked for VAR. Like I said, with the Havertz one, he got a yellow card. Bordering on a red, but okay. It looks an awful lot worse in slow motion, I must say that. But then things do, don't they?
Yeah.
Casper boy, hello, welcome. Nice to see you. Welcome. And if you're following us and if you're new on the old Twitch channel, which I see you're on, please give us a follow over there. Thank you very much. And everyone here on the YouTube platform, you know what to do, the like button and hit the subscribe. Let's get us up to 250 by the end of the year. That'll be wonderful. So I do agree with what you say, and the VAR did look at both them incidences. I'll be honest with you that I don't have an awful lot of notes left to talk about. I have about 1 week goal effort in the first half. Thank you very much. Thank you, Casper boy. So 1 week effort from Martinelli in the first half. That was a shot on target where he managed to sort of cut inside, get in a little bit of a threatening position. Didn't really threaten the goalkeeper at all. And one thing I will say, and I want to give a little bit of credit to, was our centre halves. I thought Gabriel and particularly Saliba were excellent in the first half to try and nullify the Newcastle threat of Callum Wilson. What did you think on them?
I thought Saliba had actually played quite well. Did a decent job of not making the scoreline worse, because I know there was a big chance Callum Wilson had. I think, was it in the first half? I think it would have been, yeah. No, I think our defense did well for the majority of the game. But yeah, I think Newcastle, in terms of the more shots at goal, were the better team, which I'm afraid you do expect. St James's Park is not an easy place to go. We did it last season, of course, but that doesn't mean we're going to do it again. Although I did want us to, if we're serious about title challenging. But it's again, it's a tough place to go. I thought our defence, for the majority of the game, did hold their own.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that. Excellent point from AFC always, and I think I might have brought it up maybe a week or so ago. Saka still doesn't look right. If I'm going to be objective at the whole thing, I think there was quite a few players that looked below par in the attacking front. I'm not just talking about Saka. I'm talking the only thing really I've got of note on a shot on target. I said is Martinelli. Nketiah didn't really have a great game this time. Yeah, I am objective. Did we miss a bit of creative spark from Ødegaard? That probably would have helped as well.
Jesus as well.
And that one I was going to go to because, of course, Jesus got injured in the Champions League game against Seville. Obviously, we play them coming up on Wednesday. And it's funny because we never look quite right when Jesus isn't there. It seems like Martinelli has gone off the boil a little bit. It seems like Saka, I feel like I've been saying this for most of the season, hasn't looked right. And he's struggling to find the high levels that we know he can do.
Yeah, it's reminding me of like the way our forwards are performing and everything. It is reminding me of Arsenal of like 2 or 3 seasons ago. But you know, it's annoying really because last season Saka and Martinelli were both absolutely phenomenal. But when you haven't got any creative midfielders in the team, attacking midfielders that is, it's going to be hard for them to get going.
Yeah.
But you know, I don't know how long Ødegaard's out for. We'll have to wait and see what happens on that front.
Honestly, on that front, so obviously we heard that he was struggling a little bit prior, and he hadn't played in the Premier League game against Sheffield United, did he? And then we see he was on the bench and came on when the game was dead. I felt the game was actually dead against West Ham at 2-0 when they scored very early in the second half. And for whatever reason, it decided to bring on the likes of Saka and Ødegaard. And we know Ødegaard scored right at the death of the game. Did he get himself hurt during that, or did he get himself injured after that? I'm not sure.
I don't know. He's got a hip injury, apparently. Says AFC always. Ødegaard got a hip injury. The hips don't lie. I'm
starting to feel you, boy.
I think... I don't know how long he's going to be out for, but even though, you know, we've some people have called him a ghost for most of the games, I think he does offer creativity and something that one Kai Havertz doesn't, and I think that's going to be our biggest problem. One of our biggest problems, I think.
Yeah, I get your point. Ødegaard, you call him a ghost for parts of the game, and I know that's not necessarily an original line. I know I've heard that from other people as well. Worth pointing out, he did finish up in the top 30, I think it was, in the Ballon d'Or awards that were given out last week. So, and he has had moments in big games, but I don't think it was just him who hadn't showed up. There were other noticeable people that sort of, I don't know. We can't have it all the time as much as we'd like to, but it doesn't always work like that. Shall we get into the big old talking point of the whole?
Yeah, go on then.
So obviously the goal coming on the 64th minute. Now, all came from a big old clearance. I sort of wound it back so I could see exactly what happened. Big clearance from the Newcastle defence. Ball fell to Joe Linton. He sort of tried to get it onto his chest. The ball sort of ricocheted, no pun intended there, to Jacob Murphy. He's on the right-hand side. Let me just mute this. On the right-hand side. Then he sort of lashed the ball. It was like a cross kind of shot. And so it's gone across the goal. That's the point of the play where we think that the ball went out. However, roundabout by the corner flag, Joe Willock playing to the whistle, as he absolutely should do, was very quick to react on it. Pretty much got unchallenged for about 5-10 yards, put in a cross. I think who was it was fighting for it? Joelinton was fighting for it, and then Gordon managed to get it over the line. Lots of things to check over here. About 4 or so VAR checks. One for the ball out of play, one for a possible foul on Gabriel, and a possible offside. Where do you want to start, mate?
First of all, I saw a couple of tweets saying that, oh, I don't fear Newcastle's bench. Their bench looks empty. Well, two of the goal was a contribution to 2 of the substitute players. So well done on that one. But I want to see.
Speaking of player as well. Sorry.
Speaking of Newcastle, hello, Geordie Lee. How we're the lads? How we're to you as well. But no, look. I think. So this is right. I said this off camera. So VAR, yes, it's the whole thing that it was to blame for the first goal. But I can't stress this enough. It's not VAR's fault that Arsenal only had 1 shot on target the whole game. And if you think that VAR was purely to blame for our loss, then you must have only been watching the game in the 64th minute. So, yes, I think that this was completely the wrong decision. That being said, you can clearly see, I know people saying, oh, clear and obvious, etc. The entirety of the ball has to be out of play for it to go to not count. From that angle, the ball is out of play. And I think even if you did the whole goal line technology angle where you put it in a more straighter position, I think you can see that the ball, I think, was out of play. And I think VAR completely got that wrong. But look, that happened, and yeah, it's another ridiculous VAR decision. But of course, that's not to say that this is purely the fault. It wasn't. We lost because overall we were terrible. But for this goal, VAR was being ridiculous yet again. And like I say, people keep saying, "Oh, it's not VAR's fault; it's the people." But every week it happens. Every week you get people, oh, well, we're gonna just sit you out of VAR for a few weeks. We're gonna get new people in. Oh wait, but these people make the same mistakes as well. I think this has happened more often than not this season. I think of the whole Liverpool situation. We pointed out Onana doing a Spanish fly on the Wolves defender. Drawing the lines against Brentford last season. There was one that happened to Brighton, I think, last season against Tottenham. So the past few months, so many ridiculous VAR decisions. It has ruined football. I think people, the whole, you can't celebrate goals anymore without, oh God, is it offside? Because I do that sometimes on the watch-alongs.
Every single watch-along.
Yeah, we've scored. Hang on, is it offside? It might go to VAR. So what? It's a nuisance, and I think the football world would be better without it in place. That being said, if VAR didn't exist, that goal would have still counted. But then again, it counted with VAR, so it's just a ridiculous way. And I agree with what AFC always says. Look, Arteta is right about how VAR was completely ridiculous. I do understand where he's coming from, but overall, the way we played has to be in question as well, because it's not VAR's fault we only had 1 shot on target.
Yeah, I just want to sort of he's saying, a way of diverting the attention away from his criminal tactics and style of football. This is the criminal tactics that beat Manchester City and managed to come back on Chelsea as well. From a 2-0 position.
He's talking about this game. this game?
I was thinking it more of as a general. But yeah, okay, we got that. Geordie Lee saying in the chat, you are spot on, mate. Your players get lots of set pieces, but couldn't convert any one of them. That is actually a height issue, I think, from the Newcastle players who are a lot taller. And that's made sure that they had a fair amount of wins in that situation. I also say that I don't think we deserved a win. I don't think I've said that in this. I do think we probably did deserve a draw. And it says here actually, Geordie Lee says, is that coming? Here we go. To be honest, I'd be happy would have been happy with a 0-0 draw if the decision of the goal wasn't given. So you guys need to move on. It's just one loss in the league. Yeah, I get that, and that's why I have. Perhaps I'm slightly more reserved in my criticism than my illustrious colleague next to me here, right? In that I will, up till this Saturday we had this unbeaten start, but sometimes it's not always fantasy football, if you like. It's not always all going to gel, and you're going to have players drop out. So the Odegaard thing dropping out, I wonder if that happened quite late on, and that might have disturbed how we might have played. I don't know. That's purely speculation on my part. But go on, you can. Yeah, go ahead.
I just don't want to hear all these excuses from all the more upbeat Arsenal fans who are trying to deflect everything, because they're saying, "Oh, we didn't have Odegaard, we didn't have Partey, we didn't have Timber." Yeah, Newcastle didn't have Isak, Tonali, or Botman, so they managed to win with some good players not being there. But look, Arteta didn't have anything to say about the Havertz challenge. Again, Havertz, who should have been sent off, as I mentioned. So yeah, things.
Well, perhaps he was protecting his player. I haven't seen all of the post-match, like press conference from him. But
yeah, you kind of have to
done the same thing. Arsenal would have done the same thing. I did not see it. You know what I mean? It's just all about perhaps his views on the challenge. Maybe not would have got to us as in the public. It would have gone to the dressing room, and sometimes that's the best one. As I said, the Geordie Lee pretty much agrees with you here that the Havertz was definitely a red.
But, Bruno Guimaraes as well, by the way. As I mentioned as well.
I agree.
But both players were lucky to be on the pitch. So
absolutely. I'm not sure if there's too much more to mention in this game, unless you've got any other notes, because it was one of them that didn't have an awful lot of chances in it, and Newcastle managed to get their breakthrough. We couldn't respond to it. I think our response to it, actually, and in the interests of fairness, I will say the substitution did raise my eyebrow. I'm just going to double check I am right about it. But did he not take Ben White off for Zinchenko?
He did, yeah, but it wasn't Ben White's best game. But I would presume Tomiyasu would have switched to the right, and then Zinchenko would have been left back again. Because
in a game where we needed some attacking threat, and like I said, I am being objective. Trossard and Vieira didn't come on until the 79th minute, and we had Reece Nelson sitting on the bench. It didn't get on at all.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a weird one to sub out for that at that stage of the game. Do you have anything else to add on the game, mate? Because I don't think I have.
Think the substitutes were made too late. Again, I think Havertz should have been taken off at half time because of the whole yellow card thing. And we've only won one more game than the declining and failing Man United side this season. By the way, Arsenal fans don't seem to bring that up, don't they?
I agree with AFC always, in the Trossard's more of an impact player than the starter. I think that's actually statistically correct as well. He does seem to perform better as that impact substitute. It's just been brought to my attention that despite Jesus' injury, Martinelli and Gabriel Magalhaes should have been called up for Brazil.
They're not. Okay. Well, that should mean that they're not injured then. Well, they'll be available to be back from injury by the time the international break happens, which is in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I just found that a little bit interesting. So let's get into my other little bit that I have got in the back here, and I want to bring up. So it's quite unusual, I think, for Arsenal Football Club to make a statement like this at the end of any sort of game. I hope I can read it.
It's up there. If you'd
Can
like
you
me to
read it through, please? Because it's very small on my screen.
Okay. Put my glasses on. Arsenal Football Club wholeheartedly supports Mikel Arteta's post-match comments after yet more unacceptable refereeing and VAR errors on Saturday evening. They are shooting, brother. We'd also like to acknowledge the huge effort and performance from our players and travelling supporters at St James's Park. Think you might need to get your eyes tested, Mr. Statement Man, because that wasn't a good performance. The Premier League is the best league in the world with the best players, coaches and supporters, all of whom deserve better. PGMOL urgently needs to address the standard of officiating and focus on action which moves us all on from retrospective analysis, attempted explanations and apologies. We support the ongoing efforts of Chief Refereeing Officer Howard Webb and would welcome working together to achieve the world-class officiating standards our league demands.
So, what do you make of... Yeah. But what do you make, as I was going to stop sharing this now, the club making a comment like that? It's highly unusual.
They're trying to stop Arteta from getting a touchline ban. I think is when you go off script, brother, when you drop even I know when you drop a pipe bomb that goes against things, you get into hot water and you end up getting a bit of a slap on the wrist. So much like Arteta went rogue in the post-match press conference, trying to deflect from the team's not so good performance overall. Yeah. But I do understand where he's coming from in terms of the officiating. It's not been good at all this season, and he is right to speak out. I don't blame him on that.
Yeah.
And I think the club is trying to make I don't know. They're trying to make sure he doesn't get a touchline ban by saying, "Yeah, it's all right. He's fine. He has the right to say that," because they're not going to punish everyone who works at Arsenal by I don't know, forcing all of them to get sacked, aren't they? So, but no, it's even though it does look a bit weird, I do think Arteta is right to speak out against the decisions that have been made for most of this season, because some of them have been beyond ridiculous. And that doesn't apply to Arsenal, it applies for clubs as well, namely Liverpool and Wolverhampton Wanderers, first game of the season.
Of course. So putting the Newcastle game to bed here a little bit, it's all about trying to move on and trying to get a decent result in the Champions League now against a Sevilla side who obviously put up a decent game against us a couple of weeks ago and required a bit of magic from Jesus that night for us to get 3 points away from home. The interesting question is, so on the back of two disappointing and upsetting results, actually, where do we go from the starting 11 here? Do you see many changes, or do you see us going pretty much as we did on Saturday?
I'd start Martinelli up front, just for an idea. David Raya in goal. I would again, go for White, Gabriel, Saliba, and Tomiyasu. You know what?
Happy birthday, Tomiyasu.
Oh yes, it was his birthday on bonfire night. Very nice.
Yeah.
But do you know what? I'm gonna put it out there. I might, because I mean, look, we've not got many options, but I might as well start El Neni in midfield instead of Jorginho. El Neni, Rice.
That's a bold shout.
And well, we haven't got. If Odegaard's not going to be there, and Jorginho's been awful in the West from the West Ham game onwards. We haven't got much options. El Neni, Rice, Fabio Vieira maybe in the attacking midfielder position if Odegaard's not available. If he is, then I would start Odegaard. Then on the wings, Saka, Reece Nelson, Martinelli. Because Trossard's more of an impact player.
Because, like I said to you off air, I kind of think with Nelson being unused, and I don't think Saka looks right at all. And I don't know, is it worth just taking him out here and giving Reece a go? Because actually, Reece was extremely well. I would say he and Havertz in the West Ham game were outstanding players on the night in a bad result, obviously. And
can I just say,
yes.
I'm sorry, Mo, but I've just seen AFC Always' comment, and yeah, you're getting dropped, mate. Rice, Zinchenko, and Vieira. There you go.
I think it's likely El Neni will be more of a reserve backup player. He's obviously had long injury problems. Did have a few minutes against Sheffield United the other week, which was nice to see. Even managed to get an assist right at the end on Tomiyasu's goal, didn't he? So that was nice. But I don't see him being thrown into a starting 11 anytime soon, really. But yeah, it's important for us to get back onto winning ways. Just to clarify, I believe, didn't they just come out of the a draw over the weekend? I'm just going to make sure I got that bit of information right. Yeah, they drew 1-1. They had to come from behind very late on against Celta Vigo. So we got that, and it's the Celta Vigo side that was reduced to 10 men on the 65th minute, and they needed a very late goal to equalise. But obviously we're on the back of 2 defeats ourselves. So how do you think we'll get on? Do you have any predictions for a score? Or
well, Sevilla are 15th in the Spanish league, and we have them at home. Their form hasn't been that good, so we should, in our own backyard, we should be beating them. Obviously, you got the likes of Sergio Ramos and Jesus Navas in there, Ivan Rakitic, who are of course familiar faces. Yeah. But Ramos and Navas are, in football terms, they're a bunch of old age pensioners, aren't they? So we should really, with the young legs of Martinelli, even Saka when he's not at his best, they should be able to kind of outpace them. Not saying that Sergio Ramos is a bad defender. He's not. He's really good. He's one of the best. Legendary status, absolutely. Yeah. Can break your leg if you look at him funny. Just ask a Liverpool player in 2018.
Yeah, quite.
But I think based on Sevilla's form and how we got the result at their ground, it was tough, but we did it. I think we should be getting the result. But yeah, Jorginho and Havertz have no legs in midfield. I agree. That's why I'm not starting them. I wouldn't start them.
You argue? And we've discussed it before. I'll do it once more for the lols. Havertz and in the front three might be a decent idea.
It's where he doesn't play too badly. Both times against Man City, he actually did a decent job. But so it's definitely an idea. But I think I see Havertz as more of a not so much an impact player like Trossard, obviously, but a substitute striker who can. I think that was how he managed to do quite well against Man City.
Right.
But he started against City in the Community Shield and did a decent job. I think, look, overall, I mean, look, I've made it clear that I'm not Havertz's biggest fan, but
Have you?
I know, it's surprising, right? Overall, I think his most tolerable position is up front. Elneny would do a better job. He would do a better job than Jorginho the past 2 games. But he's a player that's making up the numbers at the moment. I think
Got a lot of love for Elneny. He's been there a long time as well. But like he's been
the last man standing in the Wenger era.
There you go. But my worry is how long would he last in a game situation where it could be quite another physical game like Saturday was, and it's like we don't want another injury about to happen on someone who's liable to break a little bit quicker than maybe some of the others. If you understand what I mean. Absolutely no disrespect there at all.
Which is why that maybe you could bring on as a substitute, and if it's him and Rice, take on any off, put Zinchenko in the midfield position then, or
Yeah. Here we go. Here's the transfer questions again.
We do need a striker. And I said, and I know that we don't have at the moment. We don't have the money for a world-class striker, but to do that, we're going to have to offload some players. And I said before, look, we've still got Cedric and Elneny here. Why they don't hardly they unless we're in a bit of a midfield crisis like we are now, someone like Elneny would hardly play. Cedric's too busy being Wynn's dog feeder. So and
he's taught him how to speak Portuguese.
Absolutely.
I don't think you've seen Cedric in an Arsenal shirt this season, apart from
he made a cameo against Brentford, didn't he?
Possibly a cameo against Brentford, and I think didn't he play in the windshields, thing where the youth players are representing Arsenal? Where it used to be.
Oh, is he with the under-21s? Is he getting some minutes there? Okay. But look, I think we got to get the money. We got to get some money somewhere. So I'd try and sell Elneny, sell Cedric. Some schmucks in Saudi Arabia will have them, as would as would Fabio Vieira, Nketiah maybe, and yes, I would consider getting rid of Kai Havertz in January as well. I think the experiments failed. People keep saying, oh, it's only 1 game. It's only 2 games. It's only the first month. It's only November. How long is it going to be before you realise he's not a good signing? We should have got someone better.
Okay. Well,
by the way, did you see Mohamed Kudus' bicycle kick this weekend on Saturday?
No, I haven't actually.
It was really good. Very good goal.
He's a good player. Totally agree with you. He was very good against us over what was it, Tuesday, Wednesday last week as well. So yeah, good player. There's one or two good players about, isn't there?
Go and have a look at it. It's really good.
I will do when I get a chance.
Spencer's in the chat. Injuries are killing the team. Jesus has also been selected for Brazil, not just Magalhães.
I said earlier on, yeah. Yeah, that's what I said earlier on. I said.
I thought you meant when you said Gabriel. I thought you meant the defender.
I made sure I said Gabriel, Magalhães, Martinelli, and Jesus. Yeah, absolutely outrageous. They're saying. So yeah. Well, absolutely. I will catch up on the other fixtures. I think I saw Arsenal's game. I saw Liverpool struggle at Luton yesterday as well, which tells you about the Premier League and how competitive it could be. It's not always as simple as you just line up people against the lower table sides.
Yes, and there's a fixture which I'll bring up that will bring you your point in a minute. Look, Luton gave Tottenham some problems. at their ground. So it'll be interesting to see how we get on at the old Kenilworth Road. And you mention, when we get to the end of the video, I'll mention them. But look,
to be fair, I think we're wrapping up, mate. So
okay.
Yeah,
but Luton did a great job against Liverpool, I think, and it's such a shame that the equaliser happened. Although with Luis Diaz scoring and everything that's happening with him, I think it was a very nice moment for him to get on the score sheet. And speaking of teams you shouldn't mention, I want to give a special shout out to Cray Valley Paper Mills, right?
Okay.
So I used to live near that Eltham Cray area before I moved to Sevenoaks in 2012. Cray Valley Paper Mills in the FA Cup went to Charlton's ground. They went to the Valley to face Charlton in the FA Cup first round. It's the Eltham derby, essentially. Right. And it was 1-1. And I actually, when the Liverpool game was over, I watched a bit of that game. I thought they held their own quite well. And they've got a replay at their ground where Charlton will have to travel to Cray. So that will be quite an interesting replay. And it, as much as us Premier League big boys think that FA Cup replays are a bit of a nuisance, they're actually quite a significant thing to lower league sides. Cray Valley are in the 8th tier of football. They're lower than Ebbsfleet. And they've got they're gonna welcome Charlton to their little ground now. So that's gonna be very
magnificent for them to receive match day revenue, television money as well for the. I would imagine the replay will be live on one of the TV channels. So yeah, fantastic, good shout, Posh. I enjoyed that.
Also Horsham as well. I just realised who drew 3-3 with Barnsley at Barnsley's ground. Like the non-league clubs are here. They're making a statement. Not Ebbsfleet, but the other non-league clubs are doing it.
Yeah, fair enough. We have the FA Cup to look forward to in January. So we'll just sort of do the final few comments. You can play for country, but can't stay healthy with the club. Party as well. Collecting a paycheck?
Well, we'll see if they play during the international break. I don't expect Party to do so. But we'll see what changes.
More often than not, we're seeing Party on the sidelines, and I don't honestly. He's a sort of age where I think he's going to carry on struggling. He's going to struggle to find fitness. The old notion of him moving to another club and never picking up another injury again does seem a little bit far-fetched to me. But
we'll see what happens. But I wouldn't get rid of him. I don't really want to have the whole season with having to pray for Rice not to get injured. Because if we don't have Partey, and then out of nowhere Declan Rice picks up an injury, what's our midfield going to look like now? Jorginho, Havertz, Vieira. If Odegaard's not there, I mean, sound the alarm bells and everything.
Okay. What about this? From AFC always, there's a lot more going on with Partey than we realise. It's similar to Guendouzi, Aubameyang, and Pepe.
Yeah. Obviously, there's a thing involving Thomas Partey. We're not going to mention it, but know what I'm talking about. But I think, I just found it astonishing that he didn't come off on the bench against Chelsea because he was available. But he has a lot to offer when he's not getting injured. He's a really good midfielder. Even if, Arteta wants younger players in the starting 11, he'd be a brilliant backup in the midfield. Yeah, that's why I said I wouldn't have got rid of him at the start of when the transfer window was happening. Some fans wanted him gone. I'm like, no. If Arteta wants to bring younger midfielders that want to start regularly, at least have Partey as a backup because he could do a lot in that.
Okay, so let's go on to the comment here saying Arteta has been 16 cup competitions since he's been here at Arsenal. You want to respond?
So ever since he's won the FA Cup. The furthest we've went for afterwards in the league in cup competitions was in the semi-final of the Carabao Cup against Liverpool. I think the whole false positive gate. Oh, those were the days. But yeah, I think we're not taking the Carabao Cup as too seriously, but we've not won it since 1992 when the George Graham era, and
I was there.
we kept saying, "Oh, look," as I say in my the little subheading there, "bigger fish to fry." We got it to focus. We need it to focus on the league. We end up losing to Newcastle straight away. So with Man City out, with Tottenham out, with a lot of big clubs out, I think the Carabao Cup would have been a good competition to try and go for. But we'll have to see what happens with the FA Cup. Hopefully, we'll do well in that, because I did predict in my predictions that we would win the FA Cup. So hopefully, we will do that.
Well, and we're still in it, so that's a good thing.
Still in it. Arsenal versus Cray Valley, 3rd round. If that happens, if we go to Cray, I'm gonna try and go there. I'm gonna try.
Okay.
But
look forward to the live blog.
But yeah, what was I going to say? Yeah, I said that the bare minimum expectations would be top 2 FA Cup win and quarterfinals of the Champions League. That's where I'm going for, and that's the minimum. So as I warned you, as I warned people at the start of this season, standards are going to be high for most Arsenal fans. So we're going to have to see what happens there. If we want to progress.
Yeah. I was going to say, the key thing is progressing in the Champions League is something that we haven't done. We haven't even been in the competition, and it's interesting to see how we're going. All but one game has been a bit of a everything else, it's been all right. It's been nice being back in it. Don't know if we're going to win it, but we'll still go and with the hope of going to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and you'll agree, we didn't wait 7 years to crash out the group stage, didn't we?
No, that's right, absolutely. And perhaps that's where the long-term thinking is, in terms of, I can't play everybody here all the time here, because they'll just wear themselves out into to nothing. I mean, we're already seeing it with the likes of Saka, who it just seems like he's ready to fall off any minute. But then we could be here hours arguing this one. And I don't really want to do that. I'm pretty sure we want to sort of wrap up about this sort of stage.
Yeah, let me just look through the comments.
Yeah, this absolutely.
I get reminded by an Everton fan about Partey's issues all the time. I really haven't spent the time or energy getting involved. I mean, mind you, Everton were a club that had Tony Hibbert playing, so talking about injury-prone stuff and everything like that.
Yeah,
no, I'm kidding. Look, Partey's as useful as we. See, it's these comments that are just ridiculous. Partey, when he comes back from injury, he's a really good player. So I would keep him. We haven't had our strongest 11 all year. Community Shield's probably the closest to that. Well, we did have a strong 11, but as AFC always says, Arteta decided, hey, I'm going to play Partey at right back for some reason. It was like playing Aubameyang at left wing back. It doesn't work. It's it's like playing Odegaard at left back, for example. It's ridiculous. And Partey at right back, you may have got away with it against Nottingham Forest, but imagine we did that against better opposition. And we got to the semi-final of the Europa League as well. And who did we lose to? Oh yeah, Unai Emery.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that's just about all we have time for this evening. We will talk sort of off air about what we want to do about the Champions League and how we're going to sum it up and review it. We'll keep an eye on the social medias, and we'll let you all know what we're doing as soon as we know ourselves. So would you like to give out your social media as I put the banner up, mate? There you go.
You can follow me on X or Twitter at PoshBertie. My Instagram is at BertieOneless.
Thank you very much. You can find me at Goonly Meads. You can find all of us on the channel at Gooner Gathering. As we are heading out, make sure you have hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, or hit that follow button on the Twitch button. Like we said earlier on, all of it helps us out. Yes, sir.
Sir, can I speak? I just want to one more thing. Sam Wilson, one of our illustrious members on the channel, appeared he had the pleasure of not watching the Newcastle and Arsenal game, and instead did a watch along of WWE's Crown Jewel in the wrestling on a wrestling channel called Wrestle Dogs, but dogs spelt in the cool style. Please subscribe to them. They're good people. I might be making an appearance on that channel very soon for War Games. So yeah, maybe it's in the works.
That's
so give them a subscribe.
Survivor Series, isn't it?
Survivor Series,
War
yeah.
Games. Fantastic.
Potentially the return of CM Punk. Potentially.
Well, that's for another debate for another time. Final comment of the evening goes to AFC always. Let's hope Chelsea beat Tottenham tonight. And do you know what? I think they're going to. But anyway, we'll see how rubbish my predictions are. And we'll catch up with you another time, all right? So enjoy your evening. Enjoy the game, guys. Thanks for watching. And we'll see you next time.